And we're getting some reaction from the floor. Look at this tweet from Democrat Congressman Peter Welch. Here it is. No single individual has done more harm to the vitally important U.S.-Israeli relationship than Netanyahu. How about that? Republican Congressman from New York, Lee Zeldin, is with us now. I think you believe otherwise, I take it, sir.
Well, I thought it was an impactful, substantive speech. It's important for the American people, for the president, for the Middle East, for everyone to understand what makes a good deal or a bad deal. The Prime Minister has been very careful in outlining that he supports a deal. He just doesn't support a bad one, and we need to understand what a bad deal would amount to.
Do you think, I mean, it's been stated many times that support for Israel is bipartisan. I would question that. Many Democrats did not show up for the speech today. The president wouldn't even watch it. And a Pew poll asked people who you're more sympathetic to, Israel or the Palestinians. 83% of Republicans said Israel, 59% of independents said Israel, but only 48% of Democrats said they're more sympathetic to Israel than the Palestinians. I put it to you, sir, I don't think it's a bipartisan approach to Israel these days.
Well, I think the Democratic Party has an identity crisis right now. There are members of Congress, Democrats, who understand that we can't support a bad deal with Iran. They understand what would be a bad deal as far as allowing Iran to maintain centrifuges and pursue uranium enrichment and not allow weapons inspectors in. There are Democratic members of Congress who get it. The problem is the leader of their party, the President of the United States, who's negotiating the deal, has a different foreign policy than those who get it.
The deal, as outlined by Prime Minister Netanyahu, includes Iran keeping industry and being allowed to develop a bomb 10 years from now. If that deal were ever presented to the United States Congress, surely it would not pass.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we can't make a slew of permanent concessions on our side in exchange for temporary concessions on the other side. The other thing I'd be nervous about is the president to announce the terms of a deal and members of the Iranian government immediately refuting those terms. That means that there really was no agreement in the first place. So I think with the way Congress is structured right now, we have the largest Republican majority since the 1920s, the Republican majority in the Senate as well. And there are Democrats who also understand what a bad deal would look like. I'm confident that a bad deal would not get past this Congress.
Congressman, would you say that after today's speech by Prime Minister Netanyahu, the deal, as he outlined it, is essentially dead?
Well, as long as the president keeps negotiating a deal, and the president insists, I mean, listen, when he's signing an executive order and he decides to call it an executive memo, when he does something one day that should be called a treaty and he calls it something else. And the fact is, though, that the president is talking about sanctions that were passed by Congress, which goes to the Corker-Graham legislation. I think what's important as far as what's dead and what's not dead is the president making any concessions whatsoever that he thinks are within his power that he ends up starting to execute through the executive branch. So it's not dead until our president stops pursuing a bad deal.
Okay. Congressman Lee Zeldin, Republican, thanks for joining us, sir. We appreciate you being with us. Yes, sir.